Elijah. Yeah. Hello, good morning. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. We are back again on another edition. And thank you very much for always following this program, to our viewers from around the world, and for all those that contribute via our social media handles. We are saying thank you very much for always following. And we are back again, and I am with Julde Njai. Good morning, Julde. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning to you.
How have you been?
I've been great. Yeah.
Were you here yesterday? We've not seen.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I actually came early, so I was here.
Okay.
Yesterday, yes.
Okay. Nice.
Here.
So how is everything going?
It's fine.
How do you manage to multitask, Julde? You do news reporting. You know, you read the news, you do this morning, and juggle with, home responsibilities. Yes. It's not easy.
It's not really. You ought to have that energy to be able to multitask and also to do a lot. But I think as women, it is in our nature to actually multitask.
Naturally, they
so
multitask,
naturally,
yes.
We have those that ability to do that. But it's not easy, like school, work,
absolutely.
home. But alhamdulillah.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, our newspaper review guest is no other than Keksane, a journalist, and mostly is focused on court reportings, gathering reports from the courtroom, so that people can understand. We all know how sensitive court cases are. And when you are to report, you need to understand the terms. You need to understand the language. You need to understand how to portray this to the public. Yeah. And that's what Keksane does better. Keks, how are you?
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's good to have you here again, brother.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Exactly. So by the end...
What are the latest stories?
Exactly.
Actually, like the senior lawyers will say, I'm now a senior lawyer that I don't go to magistrate court. And the High Court is on vacation now. Yeah. So unfortunately, we are not captured in anything. But by May on the 2nd, they are resuming. So it's only the magistrate courts that are sitting presently. The High Court went for Easter break, So this is why much is not common. Senior lawyers will say that now they are seniors. They don't go to magistrate court. They only go to High Court. So also I'm a senior reporter.
I know you don't go to
magistrate court.
True.
It's only when there are high-profile cases. So this is why much of the news are not coming. But hopefully by May on the 1st we will resume back. To continue with the high-profile cases that are being
absolutely. Yeah. So on the program we'll do the African Code, then the newspaper review, and we'll also look at the NAO for 2025-2029 strategic, plan. And of course, we will be also taking a look at Meet the Gambia's first radiologist. Yes, we have Fatoumata Jobate Jang, the first Gambia radiologist. And she will be on the program, and we'll be talking to her on her field of work. So let's start with the African Code, Julde.
So our African proverb this morning reads, "The snake may let you pass the first time, but take care not to pass there again." The snake may let you pass the first time, but take care not to pass there again.
It depends on the relation that you have with the snake. Probably you are able to tame the snake in such a way it understands you. I don't know. Yeah, so Keks, can you take us through what's your understanding of this proverb?
Interesting proverb. It is definitely like it's a warning to tell you that maybe if you have the first attempt to pass a snake, the next time then you are coming, you need to be very mindful.
Absolutely.
Because you might not get the opportunity that you have for the first time. So, there are animals that cannot be trusted. So it's more boiling down. If you escape a trap for the first time, don't take it as a opportunity that it should happen every time. So you need to be mindful and cautious in terms of doing certain things. Absolutely.
I think that's really apt. I'm in line with Keksane's interpretation. if you are in dangerous situations or circumstances, if you pass through it, don't really take matters for granted.
Absolutely.
You know, don't try to go back there just because you escaped the first time.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean that you will escape the second time.
Absolutely.
So I think it's very, very important. But again, others will tell you, like philosophers will tell you, Mr. Moj and his people tell you that what is life without risk? You know, you ought to take risks in order to actually get the much needed goals and accomplishments that you want. But not those types of risks. If you think that an environment is hostile, if you escaped it the first time, I think you should be really vigilant not to actually go close to that. You know, you can't really take things for granted.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes there are risks that doesn't worth it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's
it's important to take risk, but you need to calculate, okay, what is the risk of, you know, losing myself, you know, in this situation. So it's important for you to be able to weigh that. It's important for you to be able to calculate properly and, you know, make your judgments. Yeah, so it's important that way. At this point, we'll take a short break. After the break, then, we'll go straight to the newspaper. We'll be back.
You can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy QPower, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Kalpe. We innovate, others follow.
Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
Thank you very much. We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde, and our newspaper review guest is Kek Sane, a very prominent journalist in the Gambia, you know, focused mostly on court reporting. And let's take a look at Burkina Faso's case. I mean, recently, every media outlet you turn, Facebook, you know, YouTube, you know, TikTok, you see how, you know, Africans are chanting and supporting, rallying behind Ibrahim Traore. It's important for us to understand, you know, how far is this going to take us as a nation or as a continent, you know. So, Kex, what can you tell us about Burkina's case?
You know, Africa, I think we are now, there's a new wave that is coming. We are seeing Pan-Africans, people that believe in Africanism, that are emerging from the South region, you know, that believe so much in their country that, you know, we need to move away from the colonial system of governance, whereby we'll be controlled by foreign people. And, you know, and this is a threat to other European countries that solely rely on Africa for the running of their countries in terms of their institution, because most of their raw materials are coming from Africa, going to develop their country. And leaders that have that mindset of Africanism, whereby we cannot be explored, whereby our mineral resources will go and develop other foreign lands rather than developing our own country, need to stop. And always it is a threat when those type of leaders emerge. You will see that it will be a challenge. You know, they will do everything to make sure that those people don't stay much in power. So, and I think that's what we are seeing in Burkina Faso presently, because the man is so nationalistic in thinking, and you know, he believes in developing the sovereign national wealth, where it will develop the people of Burkina Faso rather than developing other parts of the world. So he makes sure that anything that they're going to enter into any international agreement with any other foreign investor or any other European country, it has to be a win-win situation, not a situation whereby you come and amass the wealth of the people and just give them pittance. And you know, when those type of leaders come, you will see challenge, you will see so many factors from various to make sure that that person doesn't last long. And think this is the challenge that we are seeing. But,
it seems not to go down well with, you know, some people too, especially the West.
Absolutely, absolutely, because you could see even since he came into power, you could see all the French soldiers that were there and other foreign people. He decided to at least review some of the agreements that they have previously to make sure that, you know, the agreement reflect on the interests of the people of Burkina Faso, and also to say that we are a sovereign nation, so we cannot have people that will be taking care of our internal securities and other issues. So I think we are capable, since we gain independence, we are capable to run the affairs of our own country. And they decide to make a very drastic decisions, and I think this doesn't go well with these people, because once you are staying in that country and you know the internal security, then you are privy to so many information that you can communicate back to your leaders. So, and they didn't have all this opportunity. You will see that there will be now force, you know, to make sure that those things that they were enjoying in the previous regimes, you know, come back. So you will see so many factors. They will use so many to destabilize the affairs of the country, you know, and that's the challenge that we have seen. And I think, you know, he has taken a bold step, and Africa as a continent should come together to know that, you know, Africa is not just only a continent, but we are a key player in this world, global world, where economy in terms of, you know, we are actually helping the other parts of the world to actually grow and stable their economies, because we have the abundant mineral resources from different type of resources. So we must safeguard those things, and it has to be a collective unification of Africa. And this is why for far too long Africa has been crying to have what we call a united Africa, because once we have united Africa, we'll be at least we will have a voice in international stages, whereby when we go there we'll be respected, because they will know that without us they will not survive.
We have seen Mali, Burkina, Niger coming as a bloc again, you know, to join ECOWAS again. But they are not coming as an individual country, but as a bloc this time.
Absolutely.
They're called the Alliance of Sahel States.
Sahel States. No, that's important. That's why I said we need, Africa need to unify. You know, Africa, you must have that united force, that when we are going as a collective, not our individual countries. And once we do that, then any decision that we have to make has to be based on a collective interest of Africa. And once we have that collective interest of Africa, Africa will not be seen just like people sitting at the dinner table to be served, but we will be there to make sure that we make decisions at the dinner table in all international stages and anywhere that we are, and that will give us the respect that we deserve. And once we have that respect that we deserve, we'll be given our due. And once we do that, we will see mass development of our continent.
Absolutely. I think he said it all. It all boils down to us as Africans. Are we going to let this one pass? Because if Burkina Faso, if we let it pass, if the West succeed in the plans that they have towards Burkina Faso, I mean, any other African country can be at risk of that, of the West influence. So I think it's high time, you know, we move as a continent, you know, make the African Continental Free Trade Area a realization, making sure that the ECO, the monetary union, it's also realized. I mean, we are good to go, and also taking ownership of our own, you know, destiny. For instance, now look at Nigeria. It is ranked as, when it comes to their gas oil, it's cheap. Compared to other African countries, because they have taken ownership of their oil industry. Now, for instance, even the Burkina Faso that we are talking about right now, they are among the third largest producing nation when it comes to onion production. So, I mean, just because they have taken ownership of some of these critical sectors. So, I think it's important. I mean, it's not impossible. It's the political will, the commitment of, you know, those in government to be able to do one of these some of these things, and we can be successful as a continent. If they can do it, if Nigeria can do it in their oil industry, if Burkina Faso can do it in their onion industry, why not the rest of Africa?
Exactly. And, you know, once, if someone is feeding you, they control you. You understand? And for so long, Africa, I don't know why we couldn't realize those things. I mean, those who realized it those people didn't go a long way.
Absolutely.
You know, I had the Ibrahim giving his speech. He said, I mean, in fact, they were threatened. I mean, some will tell them, okay, this one started this type of movement, but he did not end up succeeding. You understand? So it's a matter of self-belief. It's a matter of, you know, making sure we put everything in the right direction and right place, you know, as Africans, you know. And Julde, do we have any other thing on the paper?
we have the point here, and it reads, value jet set to launch direct flights from Lagos to Banjul.
Lagos to Banjul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like this is very important. Like you know, we struggle sometimes. You know, moving from Africa is even more difficult. Traveling from Africa to Africa becomes more difficult because of the link in terms of travel and how many people do travel. So, but when we have special flights that are running from one Africa country to Africa,
another,
then it becomes more easier for people that are into the business, because there are certain business it doesn't need that delayance. So you just want to go and do those transactions and come back in the next day. So it is important to have more flights that are flying between two African countries. And when we do that, what we are champion or what we are asking for, that the African trade among ourselves, you know, movement of people and good and service becomes easier among ourselves. And once that is done, we'll achieve the Africa that we want. So this is a welcoming news that, you know, we are seeing now flights coming from one African continent to another, rather than relying on other
African countries,
other flights that are transiting.
Yeah.
You know,
flying within Africa is crazy.
It's always a challenge. It's always a challenge.
Yeah, so political literacy in the Gambia should be increased. The editorial of the Fourier newspaper.
Absolutely.
You know, is our political literacy enough in the Gambia? You know, last time we invited the civic education here, and we made it clear to them, the only time we hear you is when elections are coming. You understand? So it's like you are not very effective. I think you need to start putting your house in order.
Absolutely. It's important. This is very, very important, and it shapes the citizen itself. Once you are that political aware and you are that political educated, it shapes your thinking of how do you see politics, whether I see politics beyond the country, or politics becomes a secondary matter when it comes to national issue. And that political awareness must be in the person to understand that there's a limitation when it comes to politics, but there is also what we call a sense of obligation when it comes to the nation. See yourself as a citizen of the Gambia first, and any other becomes a primary, a secondary matter. But the nations come first, and that civic education should start from our nursing schools, whereby you have that sense of nationalism in you. So once you get up, you see your fellow citizens as this is a partner, a building block, and if this person is not there, then the building will fall down. So together we can build a country that we can be proud of, irrespective of our political affiliation. Yes, we must have that political differences, that you might support A, I support B, but at the end of the day, what we have is a nation, and this is a collective property of all of us, and it has to move away from the issue of seeing parties beyond the nation, and civil education has to play a serious role in that. And I always criticize them that we only see them when it's election, like you said, where we will see billboard, your right to vote and to be voted for and other things. So, but you know, it has to go beyond that, you know, for people to understand that sense of nationalism. And once we have that, we will not have the issues that we are having. But look at now, people are more aligned to their political party than country. They want country to fail, their political parties to succeed. That's why you will see on social media, whereby you want to promote the image of the countries, others will come and go against that one, because they feel like, okay, the promotion of the country will put them at disadvantage for their political parties to come. So they rely on the failure of the government so that they will come into power. So they will use that failures of the government to be promoted. So I think it's all lack to sense of, because every political party, you want to inherit a country that when you come, you found it in a solid foundation, so that you also continue from where the other leaders start. But if you pray for the failure of the country, then you, when you come in, then you have a heavy tax that will make sure that you do all those things. But it's all because of the political awareness of the country. And once we move to that direction and we have that civic education among ourselves from the young age, you have that sense of nationalism. We will not have the problem that we are having. And
absolutely.
I think that should be the target for the next generation.
Absolutely, absolutely, Julda.
Very, very right. I mean, he's right about that, because even if you look at the political landscape in the country, you tend to see that supporters tend to believe individuals, party leaders, more than even the party ideologists. You know, it's rather unfortunate. You see someone come in saying, okay, if I am not there anymore, the party dies. So that goes to show that how we are as a country. And it shouldn't be like that, because the party stays, the ideologies, the beliefs, the strategies, the policies of the party stays, but the individual goes. So it shouldn't be linked to the individual.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you know, at the end of the time, what happened? When the party leader is no more, or when the party leader is no more running the party dies down with that party leader. Let's take a good example of the PPP party. You know, this is what happened. It was affiliated to Sadauda Kairaba Jawara. I mean, PPP is one of the biggest parties then in the Gambia. And I believe that legacy would have continued still now. You know, they would have made a very, you know, important effect on the political landscape of this country.
And even the APRC to some extent.
True. So this is what we are happening.
Always, like Julde likely said, people are more aligned to an individual rather than the political party. I think here we have a problem. People don't associate themselves with political parties based on the ideology and the programs of the party, but they look at the personality of the leader who is actually leading the political party. I had a conversation with some young people. They tell me when a particular political leader leaves politics, I'm going to resign from politics. So for that party, he didn't just support political party based on the programs and the policies
based
of
on
the
the
party,
individual.
but it's an individual. So once we do that, that's why you see political parties from the previous political parties, the NCPs, the PPPs, you know, you don't barely hear all those people before.
And they were big parties.
They were big political parties. And these were ruling parties before. Like you look at NCP was the biggest opposition party in this country when you go to the history. You have the PPP that ruled for 30 years in this country, but now you barely actually even identify PPP as among the opposition party in this country because it was centered on an individual. And once that individual left, it becomes a problem. Like I said, it's all boiled down to the civic education and the political awareness of our citizens. And once we understand that politics is not about personality, it's about the programs and the policy. You must be convinced about the before you take a decision. You must be convinced about the party because that's what binds you together. It's not just about an individual. And you know, unfortunately, this is our reality. And unless we move away from that, we will always see political parties. They will emerge, but once they leave power, they will die naturally.
But you know, Kex, it's difficult to you know, introduce a system where people will have to understand the agenda of a party than looking at the individual affiliation. A country like the Gambia, where you know literacy is not very high. Because the Gambia, when you compare it to other countries, even Guinea-Bissau, you can see how their population, the literate population, you know, how high the percentage is to the Gambia. You know, when you talk about Senegal, even Guinea-Conakry, I'm surprised. So it's difficult to understand. That's why people need to go and learn. We need to go and understand what really you know, a country is.
Absolutely. No, it's important. Like if you look at sister country, you know, you could see the political awareness in their country. Like immediately after the election, everybody is back to work. In Gambia here, year-round, you know, for the next 5 years to come, we are politicking 24/7. So it becomes a problem. People think that, okay, I need to, they didn't actually see politics beyond just this is a contest of ideas. At the end of the day, you have an intention to run this country. But once you are elected, political parties are instrument of leadership. But once you become on the top, you become either the National Assembly member of the Gambia, the President of the Republic. Now your political parties doesn't matter. But here we so aligned to the political party to the extent that we didn't understand that once somebody is elected, the person has now moved away from the political party. And even we have that problem with the leadership itself. Because once somebody is elected, you need to now separate the political party from your individual self. To understand that now I'm the President of the Republic of the Gambia, not the head of state, not a political. Your political parties are instrument of leadership. They help you to climb on top. But once you climb now, you become National Assembly member of the Gambia. But you could see even in our debates in our parliament, you go to our councils, people are so aligned to their political parties that decisions are determined by their political party. And this is why we're having so many issues when it comes to some national document before the parliament, because you need to lean back to your political party to take the position of the party rather than looking at the national interest. And this has delayed the development of this country.
Even the constitution, the draft
absolutely, because
constitution.
it's more politicized to the extent that people didn't understand that. And I have issues with National Assembly members. I engage them that, you are lawmakers, and the provision of the standing order and the constitution is clear that you must be guided by the national interest and your own consent. So you should not determine any political party to determine what decision you will make, because the law is already there that tells you that your consent and the national interest. Now, what is the national interest? You need to sit down whether we need that draft constitution at this material time. This is a 1997 constitution that we all butchered and said that this is soldiers' constitution. This is as bad as you could not imagine it. It has been amended 53 times, something like. So now we need a document that will be living for eternity, because like other parts of the world, you have the modern constitution that has been there for centuries, because they build it based on national interest, not a personality.
Exactly.
So how do you have that document? That's why you are a lawmaker. But now they take you that document, like I go to a doctor, I tell him, treat me. You are the doctor, and you run away from your responsibility. You say you're not going to treat me. The National Assembly members are the lawmakers, so you cannot have a responsibility that you have, then you throw away your responsibility. When they throw the document, I told them that you are running away from your responsibility, because there is no other lawmaker in this country. The government will only have their intention. That's why it is called a draft. That's why it is called a bill. It cannot become a law until you people make it. And we believe that you have the expertise. That's why you have various stages, to deal with these things. You go to the committee stage where you don't have expertise. You invite the subject matter specialists to come and guide you. You go to religious leaders when the law has to affect the religious leaders. Ask them their opinion. Those are the things that you gather. The women's group, you go to the children's, you go to the educational stuff. Invite all subject matter specialists. And once they give you that, when you gather that information, now you make that document better, because you are the lawmaker. So the intention is there, but you have the right to delete, you have the right to cut, you have the right to delete any clause. That's why you are the lawmaker. So they might bring a document that is not perfect, but you as a lawmaker, that's your role to make it a perfect document. So if you run away from your responsibility, then we have a problem. And
well, so many people are driven by individual interest.
Absolutely.
If I do this, probably I might not get favors from my party, you understand, or I might not be elected, I might not be chosen by my party again. So those are the kind of things that keep drumming in your head. And it will be very difficult for us to move, once we do not change all those things.
From politics, yes. Separate the politics and the nation. Once we do that, we understand the thin line between these two, and we are good to go. But if you didn't do that, we still have a problem, and we'll keep on struggling.
We have a long way to go.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So, Julde, can we read one more story?
Okay.
Kex, I would like to ask you this. I mean,
Okay.
is Halifa coming back to the political scene? I'm hearing something like that. And I'm pretty sure you are also...
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'm very clear, and I'm sure Halifa too is very clear in what he wants. And we do have discussion, and even prior to that 2021, Halifa made it very clear when he went to IEC to tell them that this is my last attempt. And prior to that, he went to the National Assembly and told the National Assembly that I will not be coming back to the Parliament. I think I have served what I should do in the Parliament, and for now my thinking is to go and be a head of state, and that will be the last time I will attempt that. And since he made that declaration that he will not going to contest for the parliamentary election, he didn't reverse that decision. He never contested the last parliamentary election. Musa Cham went and contest on the PDOI's ticket for Serakunda, and he made this in 2021 that he's not going to contest again. And up to now, until I see otherwise, I believe in his word. And we had conversation, private conversation to that, and he told me that I'm more closer to my grave rather than actually the time that I should spend in this country. And I want to leave a legacy behind that, even if I'm at my grave, and I can lie down properly to say that I have left the country in the hands that is on a solid foundation, whereby the institutions are there that will not allow certain things that are happen. We have the constitution that will build, and in that aspect, my target is not about personality or individual interest, but it's about the collective interest. How can I bring people together, to build a coalition that will put that country into the system change? And it doesn't matter who leads. For me, I'm not interested, but I just wanted to guide her, because I have lived too long to understand the disease of this country, because I have taken it upon myself to investigate what are the problems of this country. And I believe that is still now his stand. But we have individual people, like I told you, there are people that support political parties based on individual, and these are the individuals that are coming because they are inspired by Halifa, to say that we want you to lead. And if that happens now, and you are now in a serious situation because these people are so linked to personality rather than the political. So how do you make sure that those people too, the party don't lose those people? So it has to be very good in your communication. You cannot complain openly and say that, okay, I'm leaving, because once you do that, there are people that will definitely leave the party, and you want to leave that party in the hands because you want the party to be at least part of the political parties that will make a decision. And numbers count when it comes to decision making in the party. So how do you leave those people there? So you need to be very calculative in your communication. But Khalifa is very, very clear. That's why most of the time when you ask him, he will not go direct to tell you that, yes, because, you know, he's mindful of how many people that solely rely on Khalifa as an individual.
True.
So when you come openly and say that, how will you, those people will definitely go, because them, they didn't see Doi, but they see an individual. So how do you communicate to make sure that you maintain until those people understand that it's not about Khalifa personally, but it's about the policies and the program. And even me, Khalifa, I believe in the ideology of PDY. It's not has a personal ideology. That's why we have a central committee and other things. But I can tell you for free, he's not coming back. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Are you suspecting something like a coalition 2026 election?
Yeah, actually, the debate is going on, but what I see among the political, the opposition parties in this country is that people don't want to serve, they want to lead. And unless, if you have that issue, then we have a problem. You look at all these opposition parties, all of them want to lead, nobody wants to serve. Because for me, if I believe that I want to serve and I have an idea, we can come together as a group of individuals. It doesn't matter whether I lead or not. As far as the ideas that we have to put this country on a solid foundation will be put in place, it doesn't matter who leads. But here, all this opposition, that's why whenever they go to discussion, they have a problem, because all of them want to lead. And unless you believe that you have a role to play in the country, irrespective of whether you lead or not, but you need to have what we call, every citizen has a contact between country and yourself, and you either fulfill that contract or you betray the contract. And people are not ready to betray to fulfill the contract unless they lead. And this is the problem. And your ideas can be important maybe when you are even at the back seat, looking at the issues. And this is the problem. And unless they have that mindset that not that everybody will lead, but what is important is the collective property, and that's the Gambia. And once they see that, you know, when they sit down in the table and in regards to the coalition, they will not matter who leads. At the end of the day, what they want is the agenda. And this is what we did in 2016. We didn't matter who actually lead, because if it is about personality, maybe we will not have the president who was there now. You know, if it is just about how long this person has been into the politics. But we look at what is the interest. The interest is that Jammeh must go.
We wanted to remove Jammeh,
because we are heading to crisis in this country. And if Jammeh go beyond 2016, maybe there'll be an uprising, because people were ready. And you could see the signs. There were attempt coup d'etats. How many of them? You know, people ready to sacrifice to make sure that Jammeh left. You know, so this way it is. So people look at the collective interest. What do we have? So it doesn't matter who leads. What is important, we have an agenda. And once we all agree on that agenda, let's go. That's why when they agree on the coalition agenda 2016, that's the MOU, they all agree that they didn't even bother to sign, because they believe that we are all matured people and we believe in each other. Now let's go to campaign, since we agree on this document, and this is how we will go. And when we have that, but if you don't have that, I don't see any coalition forming. They will go and have discussion, but at the end of the day, it will not pay any, it will not materialize, because everybody wants to lead. Yeah.
That's the thing here. Everybody wants to lead. I'm not a more palace binena.
And it's evident with the Masembe ward election, and that is that of the half that you could see that, you know, all that it takes, but let us just be there.
Absolutely.
You know.
Exactly. So thank you, Keksane, for reviewing some of these stories with us, and it was a very interesting session. And we are looking forward to have this again.
Absolutely.
I think we'll bring you again as far as the courts are on break.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll try to get you on one of our segments again.
Absolutely. I'm very happy and in time, but I would have I see the national audit on the standard newspaper. Issues
BCC?
BCC.
Yes, you can.
Give a guest. We have this issue all the time. Auditors will go and do what we call special audits, and it takes resources of the country, you know, when we are doing that. But if you look at the constitution, it is very clear. 3 months before the end of the year, the auditors must go and audit all the government institutions.
Yes.
And if this procedure is actually following, we will not need special auditings where we go to government institution to do what we call special auditing, because that means duplication of function. Because the law is already clear, and it gives you the opportunity to say that once you highlight it or you see any mismanagement of public funds, what you should do is to report the matter to the police for investigation, and after the police investigation, they must prosecute the person who is found wanting for what we call embezzlement of government funds or public funds. So I think institutions now should make sure that this adherence of the constitution is there, that every end of 3 months before the end of the year, let them go and audit all the books. And it's very clear, but normally they will go there and they say, we are not ready with our books. The law is not that. The law says that 3 months, end of the moment 3 months before, what you meet there, that's what you audit. So, but they will wait, and this is why we have bad lucks of audits that are, you know, in our, like you go to the national, they are dealing with 2021 audit reports when we are in 2025, because we have bad lucks of these audits, and I think we need to adhere to the constitution. Once we do that, institutions are designed to pay dividend to government and create employment, but they cannot do that if their books are not intact. And there is institution that is taxed to do that, to make sure that their books are intact, so that we will know the fair view of those institutions. Because if you don't have the fair view of the institution, you cannot help that institution to grow. Like when we are in 2050, 25, you are dealing with 2021 audit, you don't know the real picture of the institution.
Absolutely. And it will keep going on and on.
So this is the issue, but it's an opportunity.
The good thing is we have it next, the National Audit Office. And
go ebe da full network suda tili QCell ni lafta jamala wati jamala mune diata QCell most reliable network dumala geta wati QCell wo quality man nyon soto jam pona manke QCell hani be wuloni farole kono walante be bakono jala fayola network ko se taria QCell sunyu boss nyo finjeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus, and now we bring you 5G 5G first and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele QCell. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Itella multi milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell meta lori la kilianol yele imanjina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. Connection of a bambandi QCell. Sunyu boss. QCell most innovative QCell. Sunyu boss.
Kiumoni arti webi na fitora gol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi Kiumoni a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa hendade mbuudi maɗin e o Kiumoni app kesong a wawa nattinde mbuudi ma ɗum yaltina soda credit soda kiw paba soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ina wawi kadi nuldude Kiumoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuudi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuudi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store ma ɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu Kiumoni customer care e 133 Kiumoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki Kiumoni e murundananne koteke anilañi mobile app sone yaringo a lannayata ndun e se kuwol be keno iɓe dawoda wati o wati e se munafanno ila kodola anin Kiumoni la ñim mobile app kuto e se kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde e se crédit ko sanno ye Q power sang ye fengol sang ndun fanan e se mol jono anin ku jamalu e se Kiumoni kino yela bilol jo ndun fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno e se kodo fanan kino do kotenge pour que munafanyina a download sign play store anin app store ni laftaka Serengo sotoje Kiumoni customer care commandi 133 Kiumoni suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma.
Taking a break isn't about stopping. It's about recharging for the next stage. Welcome to our oasis.
Powered by Africa, Oris Energies.
Q-Money Delsina ak seen mobile app bu bees bii óor na gaaw na te it mun nga koo jëfandikoo pour def ci loo bëgga foo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun ngaa jot sa xaalis ak Q-Money mobile app bu bees bii mun ngaa dugal xaalis génnee xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si Q Power jënd loo bëgga ak yu bëri mun nga ci yónnee Q-Money fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca Play Store bu dul loolu App Store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Q-Money customer care si 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa
We're back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. Now let's move to the third segment of this program, and we have the National Audit Office. We'll be taking a look at the strategic plan of this office, for 2025 to 2029. And we have Parmaja Indao, Deputy Acting Auditor General Technical. And of course, Binta Toure, Communication Specialist at the Audit Office. You are welcome, gentlemen and lady. Welcome to QTV this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Julde, Keksane mentioned something very significant here,
Right.
pointing out our something on our auditors.
Yeah.
And, I think it's important for us to clear that. I am pretty sure, Mr. Ndao, you've heard what Keksane said about the auditors. It's significant to understand how you people do your work. And sometimes what is causing that delay, if we are in 2025 and you are still auditing 2021, we would like you to at least tell us something about that.
Thank you very much for that, and good morning. It's a pleasure being here today. Of course, we're here to give insights into our newly launched strategic plan, 2025-2029. But of course, thank you also for giving us the opportunity to make that clarification. I think it's very important. In fact, we had side discussion, brief side discussion to make that clarification, which is very important. Yes, our mandate is broad. We are mandated to audit and report, to audit all government institutions annually and report to the National Assembly. So yes, special audit is also part of our mandate. If you look at our Act, NAO Act, is there. Normal audit, normal statutory audit, requires the submission of financial statements to be audited. But special audits, you don't need financial statement because you zoom in on certain area based on certain information, scanning the environment, suspected fraud, maybe during the audit, or maybe tip-off or whatever, newspaper publication. Then you go and carry out special audit to look at certain areas. Not, financial statement is holistic. You are looking at almost everything about the institution. So just to make that clarification. About backlog, as I mentioned, audit is, submission of financial statement is a precondition for audit because we audit financial statement. Of course, we do carry out, as I said, special audits. But if they don't submit their financial statement on time, then we cannot audit. And sometimes they submit and it's not, in accordance with the laid down guidelines or standards. Then there is this back and forth. Then that also eat into our, plan time.
But Mr. Ndao, back and forth. If that continues to happen, it's going to be a big loss for everybody, even the country. What have you been doing to make sure, okay, once they do this, it needs to be intact?
Yes, thank you very much. That's why our strategic plan also, we have some strategic outcomes that we want to change the status quo. At least maybe we use a result framework in order to identify, areas where we can change, what is happening. What happens is, if during that back and forth doesn't mean that we wait for you. Because we have plans to audit other institutions as well. Okay. But these are challenges that we can only influence because it's not in our hands. For us, when they submit, yes, that's what we, the changes that we can do. We audit because now it's in our hands. The ball is in our court. But when they are to submit, unless they submit, and for us, we don't have the authority to compel institutions to submit. This is why we are strategizing, as part of our strategy in order to publish, do early notification. If you could remember, maybe I think early January, there was announcement for them to submit, even though it wasn't yet time for them to submit, because they are required to submit their financial statement 3 months after the end of the financial year. But we took it upon ourselves, to do that in order to at least maybe draw their attention for them. If they don't prepare, then they should start preparing their finance, so that by end of March, they submit their financial statement.
Then who has the authority? Because something needs to be done to address this. If you don't have the authority, then who has the authority to compel these people to submit their financial statements?
Yes. Institutions, some of them, they are statutory bodies. They have their boards. We also have the National Assembly. We work with the National Assembly. This is why, if you look at our strategic plan, our key stakeholder is the National Assembly. They also, at least we also now started, copying our follow-up reminder letters to the National Assembly, so that they can also be aware of and also help us take institutions to account in order for them to submit on time.
Thank you.
Of course, there's a marked improvement,
yes,
over
Thank you.
the years, but there are still, that challenge still remains.
True.
But again, I think it's an important point to clarify and for people to understand, because like every day, almost every week, we see audit reports from the National Audit Office. But then after the audit, what happens next? The accountability measures, how is it done? Who is responsible for what after the auditing?
Yes, it depends on the findings. Of course, as I said earlier, we report to the National Assembly, and also they are required also, for them, National Assembly also have their own schedules for institutions to submit their financial statement to be considered, for presentation and consideration annually. Of course, where there is suspected fraud, we also address it to the Inspector General of Police. This is why you made mention of that institution. So, I mean, also it's a police, at least they have their role to play in that one. Also, among other reports as well. But also, there's also, I'm trying to amend our act in order also to make it more rigorous, and also some of compelling to some degree. This such a thing also making, if you don't submit your financial statement or response to our audit findings, also there will be penalties. But we don't know whether that will end up being
true. So at this point, let's engage Binta, the communications specialist. What are the main goals of the NAO for
strategic plan?
Yes, the strategic plan for the NAO.
Thank you very much, Balde. So this 5-year period that we are looking at, we identified 4 main objectives. The first one being for there to be enhanced independence of the NAO. And then the second one, we said we want to increase the public trust in the NAO. We also want to see improved public sector financial reporting, as well as improved management of public resources. These 4 main goals are very critical in the work of the NAO, as tying it to what the DAG mentioned, the NAO being the Supreme Audit Institution of the Gambia. It's an accountability mechanism for the government, especially for the National Assembly, because they're tasked with the oversight of how the appropriated budget has been utilized, but as well as how public institutions are delivering public service to the citizens. So as a Supreme Audit Institution, the founding pillar for us as well is our independence, because that is what guarantees our credibility. These audit reports that we produce, so that the citizens see them as objective audit reports, not meant to target an institution or to target an individual. And that also ties to the trust, because the trust also means that these reports that we are issuing out are issues of reports of relevance to the citizens, because at the end of the day, the work that we are doing, we are not doing it to promote the Auditor General. The Auditor General is doing it for the citizens, and the citizens through the oversight of the National Assembly, because the audit reports are meant to help them to see these public funds, have they been utilized for their intended purposes, or this public institution or government program the deliveries, are they actually benefiting the Gambian people? So when we talk about the financial reporting, that is just the topic that DAG1 was talking about. Financial audit is a statutory requirement because it basically talks about the funds that you are given, how have you utilized it. And when you're recording the reporting, as Mr. Ndao mentioned, you're supposed to use a framework, a financial reporting framework, to say this is how I have utilized it. So when we come as auditors as well, that is a fundamental part to know what reporting framework are you using. So it's for us to see these funds that you've reported you've used. Have you used them? Have you recorded these financial statements? Have there been supporting documentation, etc., etc.? And as Mr. Ndao mentioned, financial reporting is a big challenge for us because the financial statements are not coming. And the misconception most stakeholders have is that the NAO is responsible for the whole process. And we come at the later end. You're supposed to prepare your financial statements, ensure you have your documentations intact. Then we come and audit and verify that, yes, what you have reported, what you have as supporting documents is sufficient. But the financial statements are not coming.
But at the initial stage, do you engage them? Do you engage them on how to do it?
So, no, then you be then the judge and the jury.
Yeah.
Yes. So the responsibility of preparing these financial statements lies on the management of the institution, and they should actually know by the reporting framework that they're using, how should they present their financial statements. Of course, we also play a part because we have to audit it. And it's a national issue. It's national funds that are used. So we have to see how best we can help them. And as Mr. Ndao mentioned, we try to do initiatives such as stakeholder engagements. We actually call a dialogue with the auditees and tell them this is the whole audit process. This is our role in it. These are your roles in it. These are your responsibilities. You're supposed to do this, do that, do that. And I think over the years, we've really increased in that aspect. Not even just the auditees. We even call institutions that are also part of the accountability cycle to tell them these are the challenges that we are facing in the audit process. National Assembly, I'm sure when you look at our platforms or through other media platforms, you hear us annually having engagements with them, even civil society and media, because all these stakeholders play a part in the process. We just don't want to tackle one, and then maybe media also will be reporting inaccurately or things like that, or there's this misconception as to what is the role of NAO. We are not putting the blame on the institutions because it's supposed to be a national approach to ensuring that our financial resources are managed properly and service delivery are also benefiting the citizens.
I think this is crucial because for me, I don't see no reason. If you're spending on something, I think institutions should have the human resource, the capability to be able to record some of the spending that they are doing. If not, the National Assembly also have a role to play as far as they are the ones allocating some of these funds to these institutions to hold them to account. But for instance, in 2024, you don't submit your financial statement, and in 2025, you expect me to allocate another money, and where you did not even account for 2024. I think these are some of the things that, you know, the National Assembly should be able to hold these institutions into account. You know, I think it's not all about, okay, having to have the findings, but also to ensure that they are accountable to the government of the Gambia, they are accountable to the state, they are accountable to the people. Because at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money that they are using to actually fund some of these things. So I think it needs, I'm glad that you mentioned that there is that collaboration between institutions to be able to do that. So now the strategic plan, because you did mention about credibility, independence, which I think is very, very important. The public should be able to trust any information or any audit that comes out of the National Audit Office. How are you going to ensure that? And the funds as well, has it been sufficient funding? Are you having partnership with other international organizations or it's just the government?
Yes, thank you very much for that. Maybe just to add to what is already said about the financial reporting, another key stakeholder is the Accountant General. The Accountant General is the authority when it comes to financial reporting. So I think also, you know, we're going to increase our engagement on that for them to come up with guidelines so that what methods of accounting to follow. That is absent. So, you know, reporting is all over the place. So, yes.
Okay, so maybe coming back to your question. So we are doing a lot of initiatives. We have mentioned that, but when it comes to financial resources, it's never enough. for a Supreme Audit institution. I heard the gentleman mention about having to audit all public institutions, because that is the mandate of the Auditor General, from the government, the central government, to local government, to schools, to public schools, public hospitals, government projects, etc., etc. So our main source of funding, of course, we are a public institution as well, is through the appropriation of the National Assembly. We also prepare our own budget as other public institutions, and we submit it, so we are appropriated by the National Assembly. So in terms of course, we do have other support partners, but mainly it comes in the form of technical assistance, because as you know, audit is quite wide, it's quite technical, especially public sector auditing, which keeps on evolving. So we have some emerging audit areas that are coming up, we have specialized audit areas that are coming up. So we rely on partners, development partners, but as well as other sister Supreme Audit institutions in terms of technical capacity building, so that we can also build our institutional capacity to do these emerging audits.
So, Mr. Ndao, how is this strategic plan going to be different from the 2020 and 2024 plan?
The previous ones.
Yes, thank you very much. I think this time around it was only developed by the NAO staff, of course supported by some partners, international partners, and this time around the approach or modalities, methodology was we adopted a results framework. A result framework, identifying about it involves two perspectives, like using a tool or tools, which is by the IGI, International Intosai Development Initiative, based in Norway. The tool is called Intosai SAI PMF. SAI is about Supreme Audit Institution, then Performance Measurement Framework tool. This is performance focus. It assesses your situation, helps you to identify areas to improve on. We also adopted the ICBF, which is by the AfroSAI, African Organization of English-Speaking Supreme Audit Institution, based in South Africa. So that is called the ICBF. Institutional capacity building program. That is capacity focus. Then identifying our current situation, we also use SWOT and PEST tool in order to at least identify the needs of our stakeholders, and also, in terms of our strengths and weaknesses, and also our external opportunities and threats. So this helps us to craft the strategy by coming up with these 4 strategic outcomes. That what is that we want to change based on the current situation, and we have settled with. We could come up with more than 4, but that would be so over ambitious. Yes. So we settled for 4. This is why those 4 that are mentioned. Now, in order to achieve them, these are the things that what we want to change. Why do we want to change them? To make impact. That's impact. But now, how do we do it? Now we have identified capacities and also outputs. Capacity in terms of training. You mentioned about resources. Yes. He said it's never enough. Yes, of course. National Assembly is helping us. I think it's incremental year by year. Also, even though it's never enough, but it's increasing year by year. Yeah. So this is why we are also, expanding and evolving. Now we have a unit even called Forensic Audit Unit. You have a lot of strategic experts now in addition to other areas. We're also doing that on performance audits in order to complement the financial statement audit, financial audit, and performance audit. We carry out compliance audit, performance audit, and also some thematic areas. Yes.
Information systems.
Yeah. Yes. We've and also the main focus area when it comes to our strategic plan, is about compliance with the laws and regulations, digitalization, and also focus on HR. So more focus on HR. So this is what is slightly different from the. Of course, our vision and mission remain more or less the same. We have changed our core values as well, to tweak them slightly, because it's about not what you aspire. It should be, a reality. It should be our culture, what we live in. So we settle for 4, main core values.
And then maybe if I may add, I think for me it's more like a progression for the National Audit Office, because our 2020-2024, the 4 outcomes mainly, the first one was for increased public awareness about the work of the NAO and its products, timely and discussion of the audit reports by National Assembly, implementation of the audit recommendations by the auditees, as well as compliance with laws and regulations. That was 2020-2024, and now we are moving to say, but independence is still critical in what we do, even if we have some element of it already. We have to also see how to keep strengthening it and also how to safeguard it. And then the issue of the increased public trust as well. So I think for me, it's a progression for the office. And I think you will also bear with us that you've also seen like an improved National Audit Office when it comes to even the discussion in the public domain of the audit report. Of course, we know there are challenges, and we are hoping that through collaboration and everybody playing their part, we should be able to see a successful implementation of this new strategy plan.
In a digital world now, are we thinking of having more digital tools to audit, you know, making sure everything is in checked? I mean, it makes it very easy.
Yes, that is part of our plan, but again, if you digitalize, then your auditors don't digitalize, it becomes a problem, because the PFM system, you know, is comprised of different, you know, component systems. So they have to also digitalize. We also, of course, there are some software, audit software, that we're trying to use. Of course,
but
we
I
also
hope
have
you're not
our
using
own.
the free version. I mean,
We also have
sometimes you have free versions. They are not.
No, we have our internally developed audit
nice,
software,
nice,
management information system. Of course, as I mentioned, you know, these are our development partners, you know, supported by FSIE, that we are able to develop our own. We call it GAMSIT.
Okay.
You know, it's a audit enhancement tool that we are using in order to, of course, as you said, you know, because this assessment tool, you know, identify gaps. Okay. There are many gaps that we are out there. That's why I said we settled for 4. Like the last strategic cycle, some of the gaps, as you mentioned, we are also addressed. Now we shift to other gaps. Maybe the next cycle also will also, if at all, maybe we need to at least complete, you know, the remaining ones, and also, you know, try to address the other. So, like, yes, we're trying to, because you cannot do it all for, you know, just try one strategy period.
We've exhausted the time already. And are you preparing for future challenges? I mean, there must be challenges. I mean, sometimes change can be very difficult.
Yeah. And speaking of challenges, do you encounter institutions maybe being in denial of some of the auditings that you do?
Yes.
Yes, I think that is normal.
Yes,
when you talk about
and also this is, I wanted to also maybe mention about I mean, make this clarification, take the opportunity to make this clarification. You know, our reports. Of course, we say audit reports, you know, it's about opinion. That is for the financial statement. I think this is important to make that clarification. The opinion is on the financial statement, where it's true. But when it comes to the management letter, where you have the weaknesses, the issues, it's not about opinion. It's facts. It's factual. But when you are giving, you know, when you are giving your report, your attestation to the financial statement, that's when you use the word opinion. So I think that decision is very, very. Of course, yes, we are facing. There are emerging issues. Also, we trying to address. It's part of our strategy development plan, how to also address them. We face challenges in terms of submission. People say, you know, don't submit on time, or they said maybe they have answered, you know, responded to our queries adequately without submitting the relevant documents. You know, they claim to address the issues, but submitting the wrong documents. Sometimes that delays the process as well. And also, you know, lack of capacity on the side of course, we all lack capacity, but for us, we try these tools that to identify the gaps and address them. But our auditors, they are not doing enough to address their gaps.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ndau and Binta Toure.
You have to call us back again.
For coming on the program.
Not sufficient to talk
Yes,
about.
so it will be important for the National Audit Office, I mean, to engage our marketing department, at least for a 1-hour program. That would be very good. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Discounted as well.
And we hope to engage you more in the future too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so viewers will take a short break. After the break, then we'll head to the last segment. We'll be back.
ak seen mobile app bu bees bii óor na gaaw na te it mun nga koo jëfandikoo pour def ci loo bëgga foo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun ngaa jot sa xaalis ak Qmoney mobile app bu bees bii mun ngaa dugal xaalis génnee xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si Q Power jënd loo bëgga ak yu bëri mun nga ci yónnee Qmoney fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca Play Store bu dul loolu App Store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Qmoney customer care si 133 Qmoney suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy Q Power, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Kalpe. We innovate, others follow.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Soro. Go, ebe dawa full network suta tili QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata QCell. Most reliable network dumala keta wati QCell. Wo quality man nyon soto jam ona manke QCell. Hani be wuloni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network o se taria QCell suñu boss. Nyo finjeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele QCell. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Itella moldi milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell made lori la kiliano yele imanyina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. Connection be bambandi QCell sunyu boss. QCell most innovative QCell sunyu boss.
We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. And let's head to the last segment. And we have Dr. Fatoumata Jobate Jang, the Gambia's first radiologist. And she's with us in the studios. And we'll be taking a look at, you know, how she became the first Gambian woman to get to this level. I mean,
that's huge.
Women are breaking barriers, you know.
Big time.
Yeah, so Julde, this is amazing. And to have her here, it's a big honor.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we just want to start off with congratulating you for this huge achievement, women breaking barriers. Take us through your journey, because I know it must have been a hell of a journey to actually get to this level.
Thank you very much for having me this morning on your show. Yes, my name is Dr. Fatoumata Jobate, and I'm the first Gambian radiologist. So the journey started when I completed my MBCHB, which is Basic Medical Education. I did that in the University of the Gambia and graduated around 2007, 2008. So I did a 2-year housemanship here at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital.
Okay.
And then got a scholarship to go and do my membership training in Ghana, Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Okay.
So membership training is 4 years, which I did in Ghana. Came back to Gambia and served as a junior specialist in radiology for like 7 years, and then had the opportunity again to go and complete, and now qualifying as a senior specialist in radiology.
Wow. So what are the key moments or individuals that inspired you to venture into this field?
Okay, so for radiology, when we were doing our medical training, wasn't like a field that we are exposed to that much.
Right.
Okay, so it wasn't usually we have a 2-week rotation. But I was fascinated with it because when we went for the rotation and then the consultant was teaching us, it was like she was seeing the invisible, things that we were not appreciating, and she was able to see and explain to us. And from that day, I started having interest in the field that, okay, why don't I also pursue this area? And secondly, there was no Gambian there. She was a Cuban that was coming for technical assistance to for the hospital.
Why is this important to the Gambia healthcare?
Yeah.
Radiology.
So radiology is very important in medicine. It's a branch of medicine, and it's mainly focused with diagnosis and treatment as well, and even follow-up. And it's very important because without radiology, we can say the doctors will be walking in the dark.
Okay.
So when they are in a dilemma, we help. And so you can actually call us the doctor's doctor.
You are the one telling them this is where the thing is.
Yes, we help them make accurate diagnosis.
So if I'm telling, if I'm getting you right,
in treatment.
Okay, if I'm getting you right, it's like we don't have that in the Gambia.
So we don't
Proper
have a Gambian,
diagnostics.
but we used to have technical assistance from Cuba, and currently we have some from Nigeria.
Wow. So what are some of the challenges you encounter? Because I know as a woman, not just you know, the critical area of radiology, but also as a woman venturing in this field, you know, how has it been like for you?
So usually the main challenges we face as a lady is maybe slow progression in our career.
Okay.
At some point, you have to at least increase the population of the Gambia, and that kind of limits us a little bit. But apart from that, we are okay. The other challenge with the work is the workload. We don't have that much of kind of, how do I put it, human resources in the department. And so, yes, it's very challenging. There's a lot of workload for few people to do.
Okay. Interesting.
So in terms of the field, how do you hope now to change the narrative, the landscape as far as the field of medicine, the field of healthcare is concerned?
Okay, so at least is a starting point that we have one who is a Gambian.
Yes.
And then the other good thing is the department has been accredited to train more radiologists. And now that can be done locally.
Okay.
So now we don't have a problem when the technical assistants are on leave and have to go back to their countries, because when we didn't have anybody, usually the place is handicapped. It's like nobody is around. We have to stop working until they are back. But now that somebody is here who is a Gambian, at least that gap will be closed. So when they go out for holidays and those things, somebody will be here to take
step
charge.
in.
Yes.
Yeah, so please take us through your studies in Ghana. I mean, most people believe in certain things you need to go study it, you know, in the West to be able to qualify.
Yeah.
So here you are a very qualified radiology specialist.
Ghana,
so
West Africa.
yes, tell us about your stay.
Okay, so Ghana, okay, climate-wise, is just like the Gambia. Okay. And then, yes, they have Muslims and Christians, just like us. And it's not very different from the Gambia. But in terms of education, standard of education, I think it's been well known for the longest time.
They are far better.
Ghana has a very good education system. And they've had radiologists for so many years. The department is well established. They have all the up-to-date imaging modalities. And the human resources, yes, is fairly good. Yes.
So what does it take to become a radiologist? The journey, how long do you need to learn, or how many years do you need to venture into it? Yeah.
Yes, so to become a radiologist, you first have to be a medical doctor.
Okay.
And so medical training is about 7 years that we do. Then after your medical training, it's compulsory that you do a house job, which is 2 years. So
that's 9 years.
Yes. So after the 2 years housemanship, then you can go and specialize. For radiology, it took me 4 years to do the membership
4
program.
years on your doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
Post-medicine. Nice. To become a junior specialist. And then an extra 2 years to become a senior specialist.
That is like 15 years
yes,
of education, of learning.
On top of your 12 years primary and senior school.
Yes.
Wow, that's intense.
But it worth it.
Medicine is a lifelong journey.
It worth it.
Learning.
Yeah.
It's lifelong learning.
It worth it.
New illnesses are coming.
Especially radiology is a very fast evolving specialty.
Okay.
You know, it moves with the technology. So it's everyday learning.
So how can, especially this generation, this Gen Z generation where technology is evolving and all of that, how can they leverage on the existing technology to be able to learn? Because I know that during your time, technology, it's not that much advanced.
Yes, technology wasn't very much advanced, especially during our basic medical education. We didn't have much access to the internet like they have now. And then now with the AI, which is artificial intelligence, it has even made things, well, a little bit more easier.
Easier, absolutely,
yes. Yes, so I think it's an advantage for the younger generation. Yes,
to venture into it.
Yes, yes.
So what advice will you give to women who aspire or who are inspired by your journey and story to venture in radiology?
Okay, so before I even answer that question, I can, well, I'm happy to say that even currently in our department, we have more ladies. I think we have only 2 guys and then 5 ladies who are all interested in radiology currently in the department here.
Okay.
And so that is enough motivation to tell the rest of the women it's just about perseverance and what you like. Okay, so yes, they should go for their passion, what they like, and then persevere and believe in themselves. That's all.
So being the only specialist, and how do you juggle your homework, the home chores and the work? We need you at the hospital, you have to be there, the kids need you at home, the husband needs you. How are you going to do that?
It's very tedious. I've already been doing it.
I hope my brother is very understanding.
Junior specialist. But then, yes, so it's just part of the sacrifice of doing your career. And secondly, like you said, I have a very, very supportive husband.
We men,
yes,
we the men, we are very supporting.
Me from the beginning. Like I went for my membership training when I just had a baby who was about 6 weeks. And I have to leave the baby here to go to Ghana.
For your studies?
Yes. And
he took care of the baby?
Yes, he did.
Tell your husband.
6 weeks, wow.
If you go, tell your husband the brotherhood is proud of him.
Oh, yes. yes. He's very, very supportive.
Okay, nice.
But then, yes, it comes with a lot of challenges. Like I said, it's just a matter of sacrifice. But sometimes it could really, really tough.
Be challenging.
You have to take care of the kids. And then, yeah, we do have some help at home. But then sometimes too, it's not
difficult.
that forthcoming.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, and you have to just juggle it all.
So is there any point you'll be like, why not I just quit and focus? Because these things, they happen sometimes.
Well, it does, but for me, no, I don't.
Quitting is not part of
It's not an option.
It's not an option for you.
We are thinking of how to become actually a professor, in fact.
MashaAllah.
Yes.
Okay. Wish you well.
I have 3 girls, and I pray that they follow suit.
Okay, nice. Oh, that's nice. Yes, Jules. So we are about to close this segment.
But just give us, what is your own view of the current state of the medical field in the Gambia?
Yes, yes, for some time we've been lacking, but I think now we are actually really doing well. If you've been to the hospital or within the hospital, you will realize that we have specialties now in almost all the areas. Recently, we've graduated an ENT surgeon, who is also the first Gambian. We have an anesthetic doctor, a female. They are all females, actually.
Women are really breaking barriers.
We've graduated a lot of general surgeons, pediatricians, obstetrics and gynecology. And so, yes, I think we're really, really doing well with the postgraduate medical training now.
Yeah, we are moving as a nation.
We are moving, yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Fatoumata Jobate Jang. We have to mention the doctors. He earned it. We have to mention it. I mean, all right. Thank you for coming, and we hope to engage you more in the future.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wish
Good
you
luck.
all the best.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Julde, this is all we have.
Yeah. Until we come your way tomorrow
Yes.
for another edition of QTV This Morning.
Bye bye. Bye bye.